Hello everyone. In this video, we will try to understand the correlation of forest with the environment. This is page number 138 from your textbook. So we will first try to look at the role of forest in protecting the environment. So let's begin. Now, forests play a very important role. It plays a significant role in protecting the environment in many different ways. The first role of the forest is forests moderate the climate of the region. So this is the first role played by the forest, which is also known as the effect on climate by forest. So how does forest help in affecting the climate of a place? Forest moderate the climate of the region by affecting the temperature, humidity, and precipitation in the region. Now, this picture will help you understand the role of forest. If you look into the first picture, this is a region without forest, and you will see how temperature is very high and humidity is very less. Now, in the second picture, where you see forest, you will see that trees play a very important role in regulating the temperature of a place. Now, the temperature is not very high. All right, at the same time moisture is high, humidity is more. So that is the role of forest. Forests play a very important role in affecting the climate of a place, because with summertime trees provide shade and lower temperature, and even it prevents soil from drying out. So that is the role of forest in affecting the climate of a place. Moving to the next, forests purify the air around us. So forests play a very important role in purifying the air. Very simple. Now, how does forest purify the air around them? By observing the carbon dioxide, and then that is how they minimize the pollution. Now, if you look here, picture one, where you see the factories emitting a lot of pollution in the air and carbon dioxide is being emitted out. But here in the second picture, you will notice because the forest, the carbon dioxide is converted into oxygen, all right, which is very essential for all of us. So that is how forests play a very important role in purifying the air around us. The third role of the forest is trees act as windbreakers. This is also known as the role of forest on spreading the on checking the spread of deserts. So this point I would even write as check on the spread of deserts. Check on the spread of deserts. So forests play a very important role in checking that the spread of deserts or desertification. How does it help? Trees break the velocity of the wind and running water, and that is how they minimize soil erosion. So trees, without trees, what would happen in the desert? That is how trees are grown in desert, isn't it? Shelter belts. That is what we learned in the previous chapter. So without shelter belts or trees growing, what would happen? The wind would blow away all the sand, and that is how the desert areas would keep on spreading out. But the moment we have trees, it acts as a breaker, it acts as a windbreaker, and it checks the spread of the desert. So that is the third role played by the forest, to check on the spread of deserts or acting as a windbreaker. Fourth is the role: trees reduce runoff, okay, and increases percolation. Now what happens? Trees assist greater percolation of water into the ground, thereby reducing surface runoff and then raising the groundwater table. So this point number 4, I would also write the role of forest in controlling flood or flood control. So this is the point on flood control, as to how trees help in controlling flood. How do they help? Because they help in preventing runoff. Now if you look into picture 1, without trees, what is happening? There's 90% of runoff on the surface, and percolation or seeping in of water is very less, that is only 10%. That is why the water table is also very low. But if you look here, the moment the trees are there, the runoff reduces to 10%, more percolation, 90% of water is being percolated within the soil, and this leads to the rising of the water table. So that is the fourth role played by trees or forests, is to reduce runoff, increase percolation, and it is also known as a flood control measure. All right, fifth point: forests humus enhances the fertility of the soil. As you already know, that what is humus is the dead remains of plants and animals. So it helps in increasing the fertility of the soil. So soil fertility increases because the fallen leaves from trees add humus to soil after decomposition. So forests play a very important role in adding fertility to the soil. Moving to the next. Sixth role is forests provide habitation to fauna. We've already know forests are, home to a lot of plants and animals. So that is why our wildlife are being protected because we have forests. When deforestation takes place, what is happening? Many flora and fauna, they it becomes difficult for their survival. That is how they become extinct. So that is why forests play a very very important role in providing home to many different varieties of plants and animals. And the seventh role played by forests is forests or trees act as a resource provider in terms of employment opportunities, in terms of economy. Forests play a very, very important role. How? How does forest play a very important role in terms of economy? We get a lot of valuable timber. Even a lot of forest products are essential products we derive from the forest. And even in our country where India's total forest cover is decreasing day by day, and it is a matter of concern because forests play a very very important role in uplifting the economy of a country. For example, grazing provides occupation to millions. Forest, we get firewood, we get cheap source of fuel. Timbers are derived from forests for making furniture, door, window. Even export activities takes place because of a lot of forest products that are derived. So that is why these are all different reasons as to why you must ensure that forests are protected. We must conserve our forests because forests play a very very important role in many different ways, in affecting our climate, in checking on the spread of deserts, acting as a flood control measure, increasing soil fertility, home to flora and fauna, and even for the economy. So that is the reason why forest must be conserved. All right. Now second here with this topic is about need for forest conservation. What is the need? Why do we need to conserve forest? As we've already learned why we need to conserve forest, this talks about the role of forest, the different role played by forest. Is the reason why we need to conserve forest. So first, before we understand the need of forest conservation, let us try to understand what is forest conservation. So this term here, you must know what is forest conservation. Forest conservation is the effort made to protect forests from getting destroyed. Very simple, it's an effort made to protect forests from getting destroyed. Okay. Now what are some of the needs? Why do we need to put an effort to protect a forest from getting destroyed? The first is because of the policy. This national forest policy, which is the year 1952, it talks about that we must have 33% of the land under forest, but we have less than 24. So this is a matter of concern, and we are not going by the policy. So we must ensure that our forest is conserved so that we abide by the national forest policy of 1952. Second, in about 50% of the existing forest, what is happening? Tribals are granted the right to free grazing and cutting down of trees. Now this is leading to a lot of misuse of privileges by selling the timber. So this is leading to a lot of problem among the tribal people. So the second reason why conservation of forest must be done, so that all this misuse of forest products and timber is controlled. Second, third, India being an agrarian country, because we belong to an agriculture country, so it's very important that we protect a forest so that the fertility of the soil and the water level is not affected. Next reason is because of the rising population. The population is rising rapidly. The demand for forest and the products are, putting a lot of strain on the existing forest. That is why we must ensure that we protect a forest. Forest conservation has to take place, and the increasing number and the fast extinction of various wildlife is a matter of concern. There are a lot of wildlife, flora and fauna, which are extinct or almost at the verge of extinction. So we must ensure that they are protected. For this, we must conserve a forest. So these are a few reasons as to why forests must be conserved, along with the importance of forests that can also be used as an answer for question on why forest conservation is essential. Okay. Now moving to the next subtopic, conservation of forest. What are some of the steps that could be taken to conserve forests? first checking on the indiscriminate deforestation that is taking place. So we must have strict laws that will help us to check indiscriminate deforestation. We must, by undertaking reforestation afforestation measures, like planting trees in a new area. And reforestation meaning planting trees in an area which had forest cover earlier. Restrict, ban overgrazing. Shifting cultivation has to be banned, so that the forest is saved from wildfire, forest fire. And we must ensure that we provide cheap source of electricity, so that they're not dependent on forest wood, which can encourage them in deforestation. Reforestation should be make sure that it's enforced, it is encouraged. And scientific methods to obtain forest fires, different methods which are scientifically, environmentally helpful, beneficial, should be adopted. Next, increasing people's participation. We can also aware people about how important forests are, and also benefits that we derive by celebrating Ban Mahotsav week, which is coming. So these are few things that we can do, even encouraging people to plant saplings, restrict deforestation in green belts area. So these are some things which could be done, and ensuring that industries adopt anti pollution measures by bringing the land under them under the forest cover. So these are few things which could be done, and this picture simply shows us how plantation of trees around industries and urban area can be beneficial. All right, so these are few things which we could do, measures to adopt, phase strategies. Okay, now moving to the policy, these are few government policies which we've been following. National forest policy, you must know what is this policy about. Try to remember what is this. It was adopted by India 1952. And what is the main emphasis of this policy? Objective is to preserve environment and ecological stability by following afforestation, reforestation. That is the main objective. Conservation of forests by notifying them, so markings, banners, awareness. Control of soil erosion in the catchment areas. Controlling the spread of deserts, so that is another goal of national forest policy. Maximizing substitution of wood, so make sure that people maximize using other source of energy, such as solar, biogas instead of wood. Creating awareness among people why we need to conserve forests, making them aware as to how forests help us in many different ways, so making them aware about that. Involvement, people engaging people, encouraging people, educational institute about celebrating environment day, having schools adopt environmental clubs, so that people are aware about the importance of forests. And second is the social forestry. What is social forestry? This term was used in 1970 by the National Commission on Agriculture. So what is the main objective of social forestry? To promote tree raising programs to supply firewood, timber, and minor forest produce to rural population. So main goal is to promote awareness, to engage in raising the number of trees. So these are few objectives: effective conservation of soil, protecting and improving the natural habitat, improving our environment, and controlling the problem of climate change, increase the availability of all types of forest products, and use it sustainably. So please try to remember at least two objectives of social forestry. Raising the underground water table is also another objective of social forestry, and to help in the development of cottage industries, that is another goal of social forestry. Now, next is the agroforestry, from the word itself, agriculture and forestry. So, what do you mean by agroforestry? It refers to the close association of crops and trees. So, basically, is a system of managing a piece of land through combined production of agriculture crops, forest products, and animal rearing. So where you engage in growing crops, this picture, forest, at the same time livestock, animal rearing is also taking place. Now, what is the main goal of agroforestry? First is to control soil erosion, to reduce pressure on natural forest, to optimize the benefits available. So not just get benefit from the forest, but also benefits from forest products that we derive from the agriculture, from the livestock that we uh, that we grow in this kind of method. Okay, agroforestry. Community forestry is another important strategy that we could use. Community here, how it involves planting of saplings on community land with a view of providing benefits to the entire community. So how this is the community, and then nearby only people can engage in growing trees which can benefit themselves as a community. Next is the commercial farm forestry, meaning growing sorry growing trees which are commercially important. Okay, like eucalyptus there, these are trees which can be commercially important, and growing trees which are commercially important is known as commercial farm forestry. Moving to the next, this picture shows how commercial farm takes place on a larger scale. Non-commercial farm, if you look here, is the growing of trees by farmers on their own land for their own use and not for commercial purpose. So basically, this is like subsistence agriculture where they grow crops for their own consumption, and the other one is a commercial agriculture. And the last is the urban forestry, where you engage in growing trees in and around the urban areas for recreational beautification and to minimize pollution. So that is what is known as urban forestry, where we engage in growing trees around factories, urban areas, so that that can beautify the landscape and even provide recreational place for people. All right, so these are some of the various policies and objectives adopted by a country to ensure that forests are conserved, so to create awareness among the people. All right, so that is it. If you have any concerns, questions, please try to rewatch the video, and still if you have, please feel free to get back. Thank you so much.